Before I get started on this video, I want to warn you, there's a little bit of sarcasm in this. So if you're not good with the sarcasm thing, just be warned right up front. This past Sunday morning, our pastor at our church delivered a sermon talking about how what we sometimes perceive can be a small thing can actually be a huge thing in God's economy. And that oftentimes when we find ourselves in those situations when we say, how are we going to make this work? That gives Jesus those opportunities to say, watch this. So he was using the story found in John chapter 6 where Jesus looked up and then he was seeing the mass of people, seeing these multitudes, and it was the Passover. So it was time for people to eat. It was time for people to celebrate. And he said to the disciples, we need to feed these people. And Philip spoke up. He said, oh, where are we to buy bread? Now, I'm going to do a little projection here. I'm going to project my natural tendency to be a little sarcastic onto Philip in his words and try to prove a point here in a minute. You know, if Philip was sitting there and he's seeing this issue and he says to Jesus, where are we to buy bread so that all these people may eat? Now, that's the way it's read in the Bible. But my feeling is that Philip kind of went, Jesus, dude, look, how are we supposed to do this? Are you serious? Philip goes into the logistics of the issue about how much money it would take to feed all these people. And then there's this passage in verse 9 where he says, there's this little boy here. He has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many people? Now this is from the Amplified Version, so it's told in different ways. I'm going to project a little bit of my own sarcasm onto Philip's words, if you don't mind. If you'll bear with me for just a minute. I'm not mocking the biblical text. I'm merely trying to convey a point of what we sometimes do ourselves. Now let's say you're standing there and Jesus says, hey, let's feed these 2,000 people. And you go, look, this kid over here, he's got a couple pieces of fish and a couple pieces of bread. Why don't you see what you can do with that, huh? It'd be like me coming and saying, hey, you know, I got this unnamed chocolate pastry, Jesus. Why don't you see if you can feed him with this thing, huh? Unnamed chocolate pastry is so good. But if you know your biblical history, you know that Jesus does indeed feed the multitudes, and this story is recorded in multiple Gospels. And the point our pastor was trying to make on Sunday was that sometimes we look at the logistics of things and we sell God short. We don't give him the opportunity to do amazing things. And sometimes our sarcasm gets in the way, our nonsense, our logic gets in the way of what God can do. And that's just really the point of this video. I'm not trying to be mocking of the text. I'm trying to work out my own sarcasm at times where I sit and go, I just don't see how this is going to happen. And then all of a sudden things happen. And in fact, I've been recently dealing with an issue that I had kind of struggled with for a couple of years and kind of taken a sarcastic approach, kind of a, well, then that'll never happen kind of deal. And all of a sudden it's happening. So that's my challenge for you today, is to think about that and pray about that. And down in the comments below, let me know of a time when that's happened to you in your life. Take care.